FPUC. It goes on top of your PUA and UI. And starting tomorrow, FPUC will start to be paid in some states. California and New York are among the states that are reporting, along with Pennsylvania, that will be paying the $300 a week starting this coming week. So what is FPUC? What does it go on top of? And what is PUA and UI? And how do you apply for PUA and UI? Meantime, if you were unemployed before but are employed now, can you get unemployment benefits for the period in which you are unemployed? In this throwback video, I go over the common questions of those type of situations about PUA, UI, and FPUC. So enjoy this overnight LALATE video on unemployment and have a great morning. PUA and UI might get extended under a second stimulus program. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is LALATE. Hope you're good and safe and staying healthy. This is a second stimulus check, stimulus package, and stimulus program update for today, our third of three videos for today on the stimulus package. Earlier today, we detailed that a second stimulus check could be very generous. Then we also detailed for you really the nuances of what could be in that stimulus check program. And finally, now we're getting to your questions about PUA and UI, which really heated up in an exciting video yesterday. But there's new indications that PUA and UI might be extended, and I'll tell you why. Let's get right to it. All of the Trump administration's economic team, whether it's Larry Kudlow or Pete Navarro or Kellyanne Conway or Larry Kudlow, or Steve Mnuchin, all of them believe that they need to ensure that unemployment is helped. They understand that unemployment numbers may still be there come this fall. They understand that COVID-19 cases are rising, and when you have COVID-19, you can't work. They understand that unemployed people need relief. And this is really great news. Why is this great news? Because the CARES Act, when approved in March, created a $2 trillion program. The current proposal of the HEROES bill from the House is $3 trillion from the Democrats. Mitch McConnell's idea, or lack of idea, is $1 trillion. The White House wants to put it right in the middle at $2 trillion. And you know why this is great news? Because they want to put more money in your pocket. They want to have less of those big business programs and more things that focus on the independent, the unemployed person. Yesterday we went over PUA and UI, and let me go over them again because I got some great questions overnight. I want to answer them. Yesterday, I really explained to you that there has been a lot of confusion between what is the $600, what is UI, what is PUA, what is the extension of weeks of benefits, and for some reason, one of the programs got a really bad PR representative because people are thinking one thing is one thing and one thing is the other. So let me walk it all back. UI benefits, unemployment assistance benefits, administered by their states. It is only for people who are W-2s. You are former employees in a Macy's type setting. You had an employer and you were a W-2 and you are now either furloughed or unemployed completely. PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, only, repeat, only for independent contractors or self-employed individuals or people who own their own business, only. So UI people cannot apply for PUA. Most common question I get, UI people cannot get PUA. PUA is for independent contractors. Where did PUA come from and where did UI come from? UI has always been around. It has always been on the books that if you work for a business, you got laid off, there's unemployment assistance at your state. You go to your state and you get UI benefits. PUA for self-employed people never existed. It was created in the CARES Act. It created a program for only people who are ineligible for UI. Let me repeat that again. The CARES Act says PUA is only for people who cannot get UI benefits. What does that mean? It is only for people who are self-employed and independent contractors. So when the pandemic hit in March, members of Congress finally got something really right and understood that there's two types of people out there that are losing their jobs. There are people who are employees, W-2s, and people who are 1099s, self-employed individuals. They said, well, the employees can go get UI benefits, but the self-employed people can go nowhere. There is no such thing as employment assistance for self-employed people. They never existed. So the CARES Act created PUA, which is only the weekly benefits for self-employed people. PUA is not $600. Please understand, PUA is not the $600. I'm going to get to the $600 in a second. It's not called PUA. It's called something else. So what happened is that you had to go to your state, and they decided that the states would administer it. I had one viewer overnight, maybe his comments are coming up later, but he said that he had applied for UI. He had gone through the process, and he said, I'm UI, I'm clearly UI, and he battled his state saying, I'm UI, and he lost, and now he wants to say, I'm PUA, I'm PUA. No, you can't. It's completely contradictory. In fact, the vast majority, if not all states, require you as a PUA applicant to apply for UI and get denied as ineligible before you apply for PUA. It makes sense. Again, UI is for employer employees. PUA is for self-employed people only. Okay, I get a lot of questions from people who say they're both and they're on UI. Can I now switch to PUA? No. If you're on UI, you can switch to PUA. Absolutely. And then I have people saying that I'm getting UI, but I'm also getting PUA because I'm getting $600. The $600 is not PUA. The $600 is something else. I'll get to that right now. So the CARES Act also created something besides PUA. What is that called? F like Frank, P like Paul, U like Uncle, C like Charles. FPUC. It provided a federal benefit of $600 per week for UI and for PUA people from the month of March to the month of July if you're impacted by COVID-19. So what did I just say? Let me back it up again. The federal government will give $600 to both the UI people and both the PUA people if they're impacted by COVID-19 from the month of March to the month of July. So if you're on UI and you're getting $600 per week, you're not getting PUA. You're getting what's called FPUC. The $600 from the federal government is FPUC. It's not called PUA. FPUC is given to both sides, UI and PUA people. Now, the question is, when does it run? How does it run? Does it continue? Does it expire? Okay, so let me go over that again. The period of its coverage is March to July. The federal government will pay that $600. It's administered through the state. So you have to actually be in the system, approved, and then it'll come to you. A lot of questions always asked, does it come as a separate check? Yeah, it comes as a separate check. People also say, why is it not in their portal? Because they don't put it in their portal, because they just sort of send it separately. People also say, will I get the $600 after July? As I'm sitting here right now, no, because the CARES Act expires then. But all indications suggest that the $600 will be extended by members of Congress because they've all said, hey, people are unemployed, more people are losing their jobs, more people are getting COVID-19. They need money from the federal government. So yes, but it may not it may not be called FPUC. It may get another crazy ass name by then. All right, the next question I always get from viewers is, how about my UI benefits? They're running out. How many weeks do I get, and when do I get these weeks, and how do they work? Okay, so that is something else. It's not, again, it is not PUA. For UI, if you're on UI and you're running out of weeks, or you're about to run out of weeks, or you have run out of weeks, the CARES Act extends your benefits for UI an additional 13 weeks. 13 weeks. What is that called? It's called PEUC. Paul, Edward, Uncle Charles. 13 additional weeks on top of your UI benefits. Now, this is from the federal government. I did a video earlier this week that said states can extend it more weeks beyond that, and they do. So you have your UI benefits, you're expiring, the federal government's going to give you an additional 13 weeks. Then the states can give you more weeks on top of that. The question I haven't got to, I'm going to ask myself a really difficult question because I don't think I know the answer, is that most viewers always ask me, okay, what if my weeks expire now? Okay, that's easy. You get the 13 additional weeks. What if my weeks expired before March? You still get the 13 weeks. What if my weeks expire in September after the CARES Act expires? That question I don't know the answer to. So if you know the answer, drop in the comments below. Sometimes viewers are great on this type of stuff. Next, PUA. PUA extends the number of weeks of benefits to, I think it's 39 weeks. So let me explain. I gotta slow it down because I know this is confusing. PUA gives you only your state benefits. PUA doesn't give you the $600. The $600 is FPUC. The $600 expires in July. We all know that. PUA gives you your state level benefits, but that doesn't expire in July. A lot of viewers ask that, and it's a little confusing. So PUA doesn't stop paying in July anything. Rather, come July, if you're still on PUA, you're still impacted by COVID-19, you're still certifying for benefits, you still claim benefits, and you still qualify for benefits, you will get your base level benefits from the state. You won't get the $600, but you'll get the $130, $169 per week. There you go. So let me answer some of your questions yesterday, 53 of them. Lunsford, great info. This is the clearest explanation of all the different types of benefits I have ever heard anywhere. It's also confusing. It is very confusing as to what you qualify for. I wouldn't even have known that I was eligible if I hadn't watched your videos along with some other people. Thank you for keeping us informed. Yes, I mean, a lot of people don't know that they qualify for PUA. So if you are self-employed and an independent contractor, and that is really what you're doing, that is your business, you need to apply for UI, get denied, and then apply for PUA. And how much money could you get? Well, you will get the retroactive benefits. If you are impacted by COVID-19 from March to time of this video or to end of July, you know how many weeks that is? That's 10 plus weeks. The base level benefits of your state is about $139 or $169, $189 per week. The federal government is $600 per week. That's $700, $800 per week, 10 weeks. You know how much money that is? A buttload of money. It's $7,000 to $8,000. Yes, I'm telling you about something you're entitled to get. You may not have got to think, why am I so preoccupied with a $1,200 second stimulus check when I might be entitled to $7,000 right away? And viewers of this channel are getting it. Nay Forums. Thank you for breaking this down. Well, thank you. Wuhan, Florida, Kevin Lee. So would I get FPUC and UI if I'm taking care of a really sick relative with COVID-19? Well, FPUC is, boy, that's a really hard question. I don't recall the eligibility questions for FPUC and UI. I do know that for PUA, one of the words is someone in your house has COVID-19. You're taking care of them. So look on the eligibility terms, and if you're still confused about them, drop in the comments below. I'll answer it tomorrow. Kim Aikens, pretty fancy pants with the intros. Well, thank you. Jessica Garcia, I lived in Wisconsin. I've been waiting for April to get back word on unemployment, just under adjudication. I was put under self-termination since schools got canceled and had to stay home. I'm about to hear whether or not I'm eligible for UI. FPUC will expire in July. Will be backtracked since the application of UI went all the way back to April. Yes. So when you apply for UI or PUA and you state the date of impact is March, then they will pay the retroactive benefits. They're slow on doing it, but they do pay it. If you state your date of impact is today, oh boy, you messed up. They're not going to pay it. Do they fix it? I've not heard them fixing things. Steph Lums Lambs. I started watching this channel months ago. I've shared helpful. My articulate questions are ignored. I don't ignore anyone's questions, and I saw this comment. It's very disconcerting. No point asking a question for help as if it's not answered. It falls on deaf ears. I've been answering 500 plus questions every single day for 2 months. Sometimes, 200 questions on every video, 5 videos a day, 1,000 questions. I have never seen your name, and if I is ignored or dropped into the spam, I apologize. But no one has ever ignored anyone in their comments or questions. So if you have a question or comment, sheep loves lambs, drop them below, and I'll answer them tomorrow. Miss Nettie, I'm in North Carolina, and you cannot get both UI and PUA at the same time. It's to do so is a punishable federal crime. Very well said. You can't do it in any state. Mike Hickerson. So if self-employed, how do you go to answer the questions? So you go to your state's unemployment website, and some have one application for UI and PUA, some have 2 separate applications. And so you need to go through them. If you want me to do a video on going through the questions, I could do that as well. I've done it before several times, but it's been a few months now. It's been 2 months now. Lauren, love your channel and watch you all the time, but this is getting more confusing. Well, PUA and UI is confusing, and I didn't create these names like FPUC and PRQRT and just, why couldn't members of Congress come up with easier names? These programs are always confusing. My job is to slow it down and make it easier for you. So Lauren, I saw your question and comment when I read it last night. Explain what your situation is, and I'll personally address your question tomorrow if I see the comment. Wuhan, Florida's a trip. Yes, but some viewers of this channel, including Eileen, who I know is a long-time OG viewer, she got $7,000. Can you be in the military and qualify for PUA? Boy, if you're actively deployed in the military, no. Now, you might get the $600. We did that yesterday. We went through in yesterday's video on PUA and UI. We went through the other people that also qualify for the $600 for the federal government. But no, because you're not running the business. You're in the military. Jimmy Jan, my base PUA was 176. I got a gig last week. I entered the amount 198, which I expected. I did not lose the FPUC 600. So for getting the 1 gig, I made 196, but I lost 446, to be honest. Hope this doesn't cause problems next week. The 1 gig is a one-time event. No, that's a great question. So when you certify for benefits on a weekly basis, hey, you could have gotten a job, as a wedding photographer just last week for the first time since March, and that's your business, and you made $10,000, and then you're unemployed for the next 3 weeks again. So no, you just don't get you just don't get benefits that week. You just tell them, hey, I made a buttload of money that week. They're not going to pay you benefits next week. When you're unemployed, they will. It's as simple as that. That's the benefit of the program. Real Abula, I'm so confused why people all of a sudden think that they can get both PUI and UI. Who is telling them they can get both? The whole point of PUA is to boost the UI because the UI is very low. I'm not quite sure who's telling people that they can get UI and PUA. I'll say this as a personal note. This channel launched on April 25th or April 24th. It's coming up on our 2-month anniversary later this week. Thanks for subscribing to us. We're almost at 10,000. Let's make it. And when we did PUA the very first day. PUA had not launched. PUA had not launched April 28th, so we were telling people at the time how to apply for PUA. It was very popular. Then we started doing PUA for Uber and Lyft drivers because that was a big topic, and we did that for a few weeks. And then it just sort of trickled off, and people understood how to do PUA. Well, we started doing PUA as a stuck in stimulus check videos just a few days ago, and bam, it's been a massive hit with a lot of questions, a lot of confusion. So it seems to me that people have not heard about PUA and UI and FPUC until just recently. And so I think that's why that there's not a lot of people out there talking about it in the members of the news, and so they're not sure what these things are. Sean Scott, how does unemployment calculate for WBA doing PUA? I don't know. That's a little more complicated. Mark Green, will FPUC be extended? Yes, I absolutely do believe the FPUC will be extended. My World, hey, I'm self-employed, but I have a regular wage job. Can I get a self-employment business income? Can I apply for PUA and PPP loan on my self-employed side? I get that question all the time. We did a video, our last EIDL video yesterday went over, can you have PPP and PUA? No, it doesn't make sense. How would you be asking for benefits because you can't work under PUA when under PPP you're getting benefits to put yourself back to work? It doesn't make sense. Now, you can file the application for PPP while you're getting the PUA, and it takes months to get the PPP written, and then you get the money. Then you have to go the ass off of PUA right away. Absolutely. PUA is not the federal boost, correct? Behind the monitor, correct. The PUA is not the $600 federal boost. Keith Namura, hello from Hawaii. I have 2 jobs. One is a 1099. So I answered this question personally before. He was a UI, went through the process, had problems with his state. He said, I'm absolutely UI, I'm UI. They said, no, you're not. We're disqualifying you. And then he now wants to switch over to PUA, and he's going to say, I'm PUA, I'm PUA. I'm like, well, good luck with that, because you just told them and went to the mat and saying you're a UI. So if you're furloughed, I forgot whose comment this was. If you're furloughed, temporary work, or on reduced hours, which pandemic unemployment do you apply for? Already applied for regular UI and got paid UI plus $600 for 9 weeks. They got asked to repay it back because I was denied regular UI after receiving weekly payments. I already repaid the UI. Should I repay the PUA since the unemployment owes me the money? The PUA is not the $600. The PUA is not the $600. I don't know what your situation is, so I'm not going to advise you as to what you have to repay, but something went wrong. Sebastian Sheen in California. If you qualify PUA, the initial payments you receive were $167 per week for each week from February 2nd to March 28th. That you're unemployed due to COVID-19 reasons, $600 from the FPUC. You need to get denied for UI to get PUA. Absolutely well said, with the exception of the dates. So he's right. California, you have to apply for UI, get a denial of UI to get PUA because you are an independent contractor. You're not a UI person. But the dates are not February. It's more like March. Trace. LALATE, part of the problem is the states are confusing the process. They're switching people, they're double dipping. Yes, that's a whole other video. States want to classify Uber and Lyft drivers who are PUA as UI because they just want to stick it to Uber and Lyft, the company, not the drivers. And they're doing it on purpose. A lot of confusion. If you have questions to today's video, drop them in the comments below. This is our third of 3-second stimulus videos. Catch the other ones. Coming up also today, 2 EIDL videos. As always, stay with LA for more.